Hey everybody, and welcome to Sales Hacker and Inside Sales Account-Based Everything Workshop. I'm Rob Jeppsen with Xvoyant, and I'm really excited to be with you today to talk about how you can cut through the noise in the marketplace and become a real clear voice of reason for the customers you have and the customers you want. And that's a perfect way for us to start this presentation. I believe there's two kinds of salespeople, two kinds of sales organizations. The first one is people that take what they want. The second one is those that take what's left over. So our question is right now, as we start this presentation, are you a take what you want salesperson, or are you a take what you can get sales organization? And if you don't know the answer, that pretty much means that you're a take what you can get sales organization. But by signing up for this account-based selling workshop, what it means is you're trying to make a move into the world of taking what you want. Because by definition, that's what account-based selling is. We're targeting accounts that we want to win and finding ways to take them to the promised land with us. And so to help us get started on that, I really want to look at this visual and I want to think about for a second, what are we doing given this? The selling world is a noisy place. Your customers are being bombarded with options. Your competitors, your alternatives. We have all of these marketing tools that allow them to go one to many, and people are overwhelmed. There's a reason that today 75% of emails sent to corporations go unopened. My question is, how many of yours are going unopened? Today we're going to talk about ways that we can cut through this noise and give you a way to have a competitive advantage in this noisy marketplace. And it doesn't really matter what you call it, okay? There really is no silver bullets. People come to workshops like this, they hire people like me hoping that we'll give them a silver bullet. How can you help me win more than I would have won on my own? And at the end of the day, there's no silver bullets, there's just fundamentals. And that's why I kind of smile when people have this big account-based everything movement. Because I don't really call it account-based. I just call it what the world's greatest salespeople do. And it's what they've always been doing. So today I'm going to give you what I believe is my very favorite tactic and the thing that's helped me win more business than anything else. And it's something that I believe will set you apart not only in your marketplace, but it's going to become what could be one of your most competitive advantages as you move forward. The focus has to be how do we get to one-to-one? And in this picture you may look at it and it's kind of blurry, isn't it? And that's the world that we live in. It's blurry. How do I get to this one-to-one? And there's so many people out there trying to get started. There's so many tools that we have. And if you think that account-based anything is about social selling, the answer would be it's part of it, but I'd like you to start by calling it social supplement. Okay? It has to be one of those tools in your arsenal to maybe start online, but we have to move it offline. And so this isn't going to be about the strategy on moving from online to offline. Today it's going to be that once you get to the one-to-one and you've targeted who they are and you've started to have this conversation with them, how do you become different? The most important thing that you can be is I'm just not like any other sales organization. I'm not just like any other salesperson. Here's my favorite way to get started. It starts by identifying, what makes me different. I love asking people, when I say salesperson, what do you think of? And it's really interesting, okay? I say salesperson, you say what? And these are the answers that come up. They're money hungry. They only care about themselves. They're liars. They'll say whatever it takes to win. My favorite one's in the bottom middle where you see that person that's painting and it says a selfish portrait. That customer thinks she's getting a portrait painting of herself, but the salesperson just cares about him, okay? The bottom corner, got this in North Carolina at a speech. I said, I say salesperson, you say what? And the nicest lady you'll ever meet said, when you say salesperson, I say pond scum. So that's what we are. They look at us as salespeople as pond scum, okay? It's not a good thing unless you have a good strategy. Now I smile. I hope all these other salespeople trying to do account-based everything fall into this trap. I believe that the currency we trade on is trust, okay? But this is really important because trust means different things to different people, doesn't it, okay? We can come in and we think we have all the product knowledge, they'll trust us. We can come in, we have all the expertise in the industry, they'll trust us. The reality is, if we come across as a know-it-all or as the slick salesperson, they'll trust us less. We have to have a process to help us get to a place where we're building a relationship instead of just pitching products. To do it, I want to take you to my laws of sales. I've had a lot of fun taking Jeppsen's laws of sales around, and here's Jeppsen's law of sales number 3. Okay? Products have no value. They can only derive value. So what that means is nobody cares about what your product does, and they don't care how much you invested to make it, and they don't care how many customers you have. They don't care about any of those things. The only thing they care about is what can your product do for them. So that means instead of having product training, we better have a different kind of training. I've had a lot of success by having people have problem training. We're going to talk today about learning to speak the language of value. And the value conversation is way different than the product conversation. Here's my favorite thing that you can look at. It's a delicate balancing act, okay? You're walking this high wire, and there's only two ways to create value. Number one, you can solve a problem someone cares about. Number two, you can achieve a result someone cares about. And so I like to have salespeople and sales orgs really banter back and forth and say, you know, is it a problem that matters more, or is it a result that matters more? And everybody wants to give me all their data and all their things about why problems might be more important because it's now, and results are less important because it's future. But you'd be wrong. The most important part is the second part that comes. It's that they care about. The thing that I'd like you to really make part of your account-based program is how do I get people to tell me with their own mouth what they care about? Because if you get lucky and you figure out what they care about just because you've done industry research, that's great. But you still haven't built trust. The way you built that currency that your account-based customer will want to trade on with you is can you have them tell you with their own mouth not only what they care about, but why it matters. I want to do play a little game to show you just how easy it is to screw this up, okay? Lots of people tell me that they are in the world of selling things that are seen as commodities. I haven't found anything that's more of a commodity than pork and beans, okay? So today we're going to play a game. I do this with sales organizations all over the place, and it's a lot of fun. I've created this company, Custom Pork and Beans, where it's only the finest ingredients. People buy this one, only the best will do. And my favorite thing to do is pull two people out of the audience. One person and I say, you're the salesperson. One person, you own this specialty food store. I toss the pork and beans to the salesperson and I say, your job is to get your pork and beans on their shelves, ready, set, go. And you watch them struggle. And you watch them look at the label. And I've heard the funniest product pitches that you'll ever hear when I do this. You know, all the merits of these beans, the things they do and do not do to your digestive system, all kinds of things that this pork and beans can be known for. What they don't know is the person that's the store owner is someone that I put in the audience as a plant. And they'll take the pork and beans and they'll look at it almost with disgust and say, got any pig guts in there? Now ask yourself, what do you think most salespeople say? 99% of the time, they immediately put up their hands and they say, no, we only have the finest ingredients. We'd never do that. At which point I stop the role play and I walk out and I say, you just lost the sale. And I look at the store owner and I say, why? And he said, well, you told me to ask if they had pig guts because I'm looking for the intestine of a pig found only in the Andes Mountains. And the reason I brought custom pork and beans in is I thought you might be able to give me exactly what I needed. Okay? So the question is, what are your customers' pig guts? You know, the one thing that you should ask yourself is, what are their version of pig guts? Because pig guts are going to be good to some people and bad to others. And so you need to have a process that helps you not only find out what it is, but find out why it matters. So I have my little hashtag there, find the pig guts. I'd love to hear some of your pig gut stories as you go searching for pig guts moving forward, okay? Now, once you identify what their version of the pig guts are, you have to find out why it matters, okay? Now, the move that buyers hate that most salespeople go to is the ROI play, return on investment. Buyers don't buy it. They hate it. They see it as a defensive play to justify your cost. Most of the time it happens for them to say, here's my ROI calculator, here's why you should buy from us. They never believe the calculation, they discount it heavily, and usually it comes at a time where really it doesn't do much for them. I'd like to talk about doing it a different way, because we want to see it as this way, big R, little I. Big giant return, little investment, okay? Customers usually see it as little tiny R with this giant investment. We hope the return comes, but I can tell you that investment's real, right? Unfortunately, we also talk about it in this order. We talk about an investment to hopefully get a return. I think you can flip the script. And I think the challenge is, how do I get them in return mindset instead of investment mindset? And the number one thing you can do as an account-based sales strategy is not only find out what they care about, but then find out, why do they care about it and to what degree. You want to identify the impact of the problem you're solving or the impact of the result you're achieving. And it's not hard to do, and what's cool is most people don't do it. To do it, I want to introduce you to my favorite tactic, and I call it dollarizing. Dollarizing is really simple. Some people might confuse it with ROI, but let me look at these 4 elements that will tell you the difference. ROI, the focus is cost justification. Here's why we're worth it. On dollarizing, we want to size the size of the problem or understand the size of the impact of the result, okay? I'm going to give you an example on how we do it, but it's completely different. In ROI, we do it at the end of the sales process. Dollarizing, we do it first thing. We do it before we ever talk about our product. Third, emphasis. The emphasis of ROI is why should you invest with me? And the emphasis of dollarizing is your problem or result worth chasing? Think about that, okay? And last, the goal is why do we as a vendor matter? And on dollarizing, we don't talk about ourselves at all. We find, is there a way to get them into a return mindset? Let's do an example, okay? And before we do it, I want to give you the 5 questions that will help you do it. First thing we want to do is we want to assess just how important this opportunity is. So the first 2 questions we want to do is understand. What is it? Meaning, what is it, the problem that you want to solve, or what is it, the result you want to achieve? Number 2, what's the value of it today? Then we get into the quantification questions. What do you want it to be, and what's the value of the difference immediately? And then finally, what's the value of the difference over time? Call it 2, 3 years, okay? So that helps me understand what are they focused on, why does it matter, and if I solve it long term, what does it do for me? Once I understand the assessment questions, then I can get into the urgency questions. What happens if you do? What happens if you don't? And who else? What else are you looking at? Let's do an example on something that's helped me and my company win some business very, very recently. Large company, large sales force, several thousand salespeople. And as we started talking, what we found this person's it was the percentage of people hitting goal. I was able to share with this person that last year only 44% of salespeople hit their goal. Asked him, what's your number? Turns out the value of his it right now, 36%. As we started to talk about it, I said, okay, so 36 is a little below the average. What would you like it to be? His answer is 51% or more. Great. Now that I understand what it is, what you want to be, what's the value of that? Well, for my business line, that's greater than $8 million. And for what I'm responsible for, that's significant. That's enough to take me from not hitting goal to hitting goal without having anything else happen. Okay, well, if I did that over 3 years, now I'm talking about 24 million or more, and now we're talking. So he still doesn't know exactly what we do or how we do it, but now now that I understand that it's something that's worth fighting for this person, I want us to understand how urgent it is. So now I get into the urgency questions. Number 1, well, geez, tell me what happens if these things happen for you. Well, for sure we'll hit our goal. I'll be a star because we don't have a single line of business that has anybody at 50% quota attainment. We talk about it in our leadership meetings all the time. If we did that, the stock price would reflect it, and it wouldn't just be me that wins, but everybody else wins too. And they would see my team as someone that did lots of good for lots of people. Okay, well, what happens if you don't? Well, then we might not hit our goal. And quota attainment is going to remain a focus point. In fact, it could get to the point that my leadership is questioned because we've never been able to crack into the 50% range. Okay, I understand why that would be a problem. Finally, what other options are you looking at? Rob, we're not looking at anything. I'm actually concerned because we talk about it all the time, and I don't know how to handle my approach to how am I going to level up my team and get from 36 to 50% or more. Short version of what happened, we got people's attention and we were able to do a 6-figure deal with money that wasn't budgeted. We didn't have budget for it, but we got a deal done because we dollarized the size of the impact. This $24 million lift just in his area was interesting, but as we talked to the other 3 lines of business, boy, they got really interested, and it was over a $100 million lift that we could maybe achieve, and it became something that the chief sales officer wanted to take control of. So this is something that you guys can do right away. Do it early in the process. What do you care about? Dollarize it to understand the size of the problem and why it matters, or the size of the result and why it matters. And what you'll find is people will now start saying, how do you do it? Will you show me how you do it? Okay? And it changes and reshapes everything. I want to thank you for sticking around to the very end of this presentation, and I want to challenge you to rise above the noise with your account-based sales program. Don't be one of the ones that's just like everyone else. The one thing I would tell you to start with is make sure that you understand what they care about. Don't do product training. Do problem training. Sit down with your team and make a good list of all the problems you're able to solve and all the results that you're able to achieve. So when you get with someone, you can connect before you correct, right? You can say, yep, we understand exactly why you would have that. And then you can take them through a value kind of conversation. Second, dollarize the impact, not the return. Once you find out what that is, be very fluent in the language of how value is driven with that problem and that result. Not in how your product does it, but in why it's worth solving. If you can do that, you'll develop an impact mindset, and they won't see you as just a really good vendor. They'll see you as a really smart person that they see as a partner that they need to have. You'll find that the trust meter goes up really, really fast. And finally, if you don't do anything else, find those pig guts, okay? Make no assumptions. Don't assume that anything's bad or good. Have them walk you through it. And I promise you that as you find the pig guts for your individual accounts and dollarize why it matters, you will become someone that's not just another salesperson that's pond scum. You're going to be someone that they can't do enough business with. So I hope it was great. I hope you find these things helpful. Absolutely agree that account-based everything matters. Not because it's a cool title, because it's what the greatest sales organizations in the world do. Make 2017 the year you take what you want and leave everything that's left over for the competitors you compete against. If you ever want to talk to me about ways to make dollarizing work or any other tactic to help you level up your sales organization, that's how you get a hold of me. Xvoyant, we'd love to help you move the sales needle, and let's make it happen.